we've got a treat. 34-year-old shares his secrets to Millionaire.
Brian, I am so excited about this because we have a special guest with us today who's kind of a big deal. Like, this is a big one, and he's done some pretty remarkable things at a very young age. And so I'm excited we get to dive in and learn a few of his tips, tricks, and secrets to doing that.
I think it's really cool, George, that you're here because we've met quite a few times now and hung out a little bit, and you do have some superpowers. Is that anytime you're super likable, you're always so knowledgeable of all the things you're sharing. And I think that I can't wait to jump right into kind of your tips, tricks on how you became a millionaire. But also, I think the biggest thing that Bo is so excited, talking about how you have risen within the Ramsey Solutions organization to kind of start building this track too.
Man, that is such an honor. You guys are too kind. $5 on Venmo goes a long way with these guys.
That's it. It'll do the trick.
Well, you guys are so smart. Your audience is so smart. I feel like a wiener in a steakhouse just being here. So hopefully I can offer some wisdom, even if it's just a Chick-fil-A hack.
Oh, well, that's not going to be more than some wisdom. And for those of you who don't know, this is GeorgeKamel. Tell them a little bit. I mean, I think your tagline was, you were the self-proclaimed, you went from negative net worth to debt-free millionaire inside of a decade, which is remarkable, right? Tell me a little about who you are, where you come from, what you're doing right now presently.
Sure. So I started at Ramsey back in 2013 as an intern and a temp. They had to formally give me a temp job because I had already graduated from college. So legally I could not be an intern. So I started back in 2013. I was $40,000 in consumer debt between my student loans and credit card debt. And I went through Financial Peace University, got onboarded at Ramsey, went through the plan, got debt free in 18 months.
Wow.
Met my wife at Ramsey, so we had fully drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
So we started our marriage debt-free, decided to buy a house, put a whole bunch of money down, decided to pay it off early, and all of those things on top of investing over, a decade at Ramsey led us to just wake up and go, oh my gosh, we're net worth millionaires. This is so weird.
I think how many shows, because we asked you when you came in and say, like, how many hours are you recording today? How many shows do you have going at the same time?
Oh my goodness. So we have the Ramsey Show, which I co-host a few times a week. We have Smart Money Happy Hour, which is a show I do with Rachel Cruz, Dave's daughter, and that's real laid-back, conversational, funny, pop culture. And then I have my own YouTube channel to compete with you guys, and it's tough competition.
The pod's big enough. We all can be successful.
But that one is the most me. It's snarky. There's all kinds of memes in there, and we're really doing a little more nerdy deep dives into some stuff to help people avoid some of these trends and traps out there that you're talking about. Help them really just believe that they can win with money despite where they're at and where they've been.
What I think is wild is that right now you have probably one of the biggest voices in the financial space, right? Like, you have a huge microphone that you're able to speak through, and you've attained millionaire status at a very young age, like in your early 30s, and you didn't go start a business, you didn't go invent something, you didn't write code, you didn't sign some professional contract. You did things a little bit differently. I'd love to hear a little bit about your career journey to go from the temp, the guy who, had to be a temp because he couldn't be an intern or had to be, right, to now being the guy with the microphone. Like, that's remarkable. I think our audience would love to hear. How'd you do it? What was the path? What was the journey that you went through?
Yeah, there's really two components. One is the financial path, which is, the Ramsey baby steps that anyone can follow. The other piece is the career journey, which I would argue is maybe more impressive to go from where I was to where I am. And that really started just by excelling in my role. Like, I'm a W-2 employee. Like you said, I don't have a business. Everyone thinks you have to start a business in order to build any level of wealth. And on a millionaire study, you guys have talked about this, it's teachers and engineers, people who work for the man, right? Yep. Quote unquote, the evil corporations. And I just enjoy working for someone else. I don't want to deal with all of the hassle of running the business. I just want to do with what I'm good at. So I started as an intern and temp in social media, and actually for the personalities, which is very full circle for me to now be in this role. I then moved into an email marketing coordinator role. I had a communication degree, and I was like, I think I
I've written an email before.
Yeah, I built websites in Dreamweaver in high school, like computer class. You use Dreamweaver to build emails. This is great.
You should let me do this now.
Exactly. So I bought a book on HTML and CSS and convinced them that I could do this. And so I was an email marketing coordinator for 2.5 years, stepped back into social media coordinator for personalities. That was the first official role doing that, and did that for a year. And then Ken Coleman was hosting the video channel, hosting live events, doing the MC work, and he was stepping into his personality role.
Right.
And so they looked around and they went, well, we've seen George on stage at Battle of the Bands. He's kind of, warming up the crowd, having fun, making jokes. I was like, let's see if he could do this thing. So they gave
Ken
me a shot.
is the one who said that? He was like, let's
Ken,
give
I had
George
known Ken for years from seeing him host Catalyst and all these events in Georgia. And so he went, yeah, I think he's got the chops. Let's see what he's got. And so I became the protege, and kind of they tested me out on camera to do all the in-lobby stuff. And it was all history from there. So I hosted and MC'd for 4 years. Before I stepped into this role.
Here's the thing, I think, because you were very gracious there, but there is, at some point, you had to have advocated for yourself, or you had to, because I can remember, like, first job interview, or first job that I got, I actually went and did something above and beyond to stand out like a peacock. So that was very gracious towards Ken and everybody else, but you, at some point, you had to make an internal decision. I would like to know, kind of lean into that. What was the thing? Because it wasn't, you're not just all luck. There has to be the intersection of the talent and the opportunity. So what are there any things that where you kind of, pushed yourself out there in the comfort zone, did the things other people wouldn't, so you could have this opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great point. I've never been the smartest person in the room, so I always feel like I had to be the hardest working. I had to be the most prepared. And so if you ask any of the leaders at Ramsey, well, how do you describe George? He's very prepared.
I love it, right?
And
so
that allows me to kind of be more improvisational, if you will. But anytime I had a job in front of me, I just went, okay, I can do that, but how do I do more than that? And it was never to like impress the leadership and like I had no aspirations of being a personality. I didn't think that was even on the table. I was just like, well, being on stage looks fun. I was a musician, and so I loved just being on stage and entertaining and giving people that joy. And so for Battle of the Bands, it was just like, man, the hosting is terrible. I think I could do better than that. So I raised my hand. I was like, can I host? They're like, sure. And so anytime there was an opportunity, anytime I was given a little bit of rope, I just went, how do I crush this?
I love it.
Yeah.
And it was really for my own personal challenge. And the byproduct of that is leadership goes, here's a little more rope. Here's a little more rope. So then that turned into me creating the Borrowed Future podcast series that we did on the student loan crisis. Before I was a personality. I was a host, but they were like, well, he's a host. He can do that. And then that turned into the fine print. And when the fine print finally launched, it was the same day I was kind of knighted a personality to the public.
Okay.
And so
that's wild. And
it was a very stair-stepped approach.
I love that you also said, I was doing this email marketing, so I recognized, hey, I can go learn how to write HTML. I can go learn how to do CSS. So it is this like beautiful mix of, how do I improve the skills that I already have? Hey, as a musician, I can be on stage. Hey, I understand email marketing. I can go learn this new skill set with recognizing opportunities. When an opportunity presented itself, you didn't just let it pass you by. You jumped on it and you said, hey, I'm going to be excellent at everything that I do. And it's amazing how well being excellent at the things you do turns out for you.
Oh, yeah.
I bet also if we talked to anybody who worked with you on those stages, they would say that he made everything I asked him to do better than I anticipated. Because you just said when you tried to always make sure you did everything better, because that's a superpower Bo has. Everybody who I've seen rise through leadership, usually if you can look above you and say, how can I make their job easier? The entrepreneur opportunity is huge. And I just get that vibe from you a ton, George.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I'll admit, I've been the squeaky wheel. I'm very persistent, and it's out of passion. So when I was so passionate about the money principles because I'd followed them, and I went, hey, there's a gap. We need to be doing more content for our audience that really brings this stuff to life, that we need to show them the money hacks. We need to show them how to live out this plan. And so eventually they just got tired and said, okay, fine. Go do it. And so as I did that, more and more opportunity happened. I got to host our personal finance curriculum for high schoolers and really pour my heart into that and bring humor and the financial content to it. And so all of those things over time, it was kind of like oh, he's not a personality? Okay, well, we got to make him personality. It wasn't this big thing where I had to like earn the votes. It was just a natural progression.
Yeah.
I love that. So we talk all the time when it comes to wealth building, right? So obviously, you said that one of the things that got you into this whole thing is you were so passionate about the principles, right? And so when we build wealth, we normally say there are like two things that you can do. You can either increase your income or you can decrease your expenses. Well, early on in our careers, increasing income is a difficult thing to do. I mean, we try our best, but it sounds like decreasing expenses is something that I think a lot of young people really, really focus on. And you developed like a really unique skill set and affinity for finding out how to do things a little bit differently early on in your career.
He's being nice. He's basically calling you, are you a TightWad?
Wow.
Do you self-describe yourself as a TightWad?
I will say I'm frugal. And I think that comes from my Middle Eastern background.
Frugal.
You know, my dad is from Egypt. My mom's from Syria. And I feel like the Middle Eastern culture, we're like, we love a deal.
Yeah.
We cannot turn down a deal. And we love trying to get the deal and land the deal. And so growing up, I remember couponing with my dad on Sundays. Like that was the Sunday event after church. It's like, let's get the paper out. Let's see what's going on. Let's go shopping. And so that was a fun thing we did together.
Do you still coupon?
I do. Yeah. In fact,
really?
yeah, even paper. So locally, if you're in the Franklin area, there's a book called The City Saver, the coupon book. And I live for the City Saver. And they have an app that pairs with it that doubles the coupons and the BOGO. So when it comes to date night, I'm like, hey, where do you want to go? Like we have all these coupons. Like it makes it more fun. You know, you can put it in a fishbowl and just choose one and go, all right, we're going here tonight. So all of that, I don't think has, accelerated my wealth building journey. I'm not trying to pretend like you can coupon your way to millionaire status, but it's one of the things that creates the margin to be able to invest more or be able to go out and not have it, bust the budget.
And it's a little bit behavioral, right? Like if you're thinking about managing the small decisions that way, it's going to permeate throughout all the big decisions you make too, right? Like if you can master the small things, the big things kind of fall in line.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the mindset too. I mean, because that's what you say, it didn't propel you to millionaire status. But if you have a mindset, it's kind of like when you exercise. Well, I know when I'm exercising, I eat better. Don't you find the same mindset when you're practicing good behaviors with your finances that everything else kind of falls in line
and thank you for mentioning my physique.
Yeah,
it's a lot of things.
When you work out,
people often wonder.
I mean, look who I hang out with.
Well, Bo has to work out to get that physique. I get this without working out at all.
That's amazing. That's what I'm trying to work towards.
That's what happens when you split meals instead of getting one for yourself. That's a money hack right there.
So number one money hack is make sure you split. What are some other money hacks? Whether I don't know, like there would be valuable that you found like really valuable, whether it's travel or eating out, things like, hey, this is just part of what we as a family do, and this is where I'm able to save a few bucks.
Well, the general principle is most people just look at something at face value. What's on the menu? What's the price? Okay, I'm going to buy it. I actually take some time to go, is this the best value? Is this the best option? Is this the best retailer? Can we do better here? Is there room to negotiate? Now, I'm not going to negotiate with the ChickfilA employee. Like, is the chicken sandwich really worth $6? Can you come down? But there are things you can do, for example, at Chick-fil-A or wherever. It's very restaurant specific. And I'm not the kind of guy who's like, go to Taco Bell and get everything on the dollar menu. Money hack. Like, that's not me.
Is that really a money hack? Or just getting all the cheap stuff?
Chick-fil-A is my one fast food pass. I think we can all agree.
Yeah,
for some reason, it's still terrible for you. If you look at
so what's your hack there? What's your hack? Lean into that.
So one hack, which now they've increased prices, thanks inflation. But the kids meal was one of the best values on the menu. And I know it sounds crazy, but the amount of food you get in a kids meal at Chick-fil-A it shouldn't be allowed.
It's not that different than what an adult
No,
would
you're
be,
getting
right?
6 nuggets, you're getting the fries, and you can trade the toy in for the ice cream. So you're getting ice cream on top of that. It comes with a drink, and it's still calorically a dense meal. Probably too much for the average human being.
Have you noticed when you do the kids' meal, you can get, like I like the Arnold Palmer, the Diet Arnold Palmer.
They call it a Sunjoy
If you order it on the normal menu, it's like a 45 to 60 cent upgrade. But if you do it on the kids' menu, it's free.
Wow.
I know. This is
There's a hack.
why we can.
We're spreading the hacks.
Here's the other thing. I want to put you on the spot because I think that you've done this. You go to Chick-fil-A, you have all these rewards.
Yep.
Do you know what the best deals on the reward side are?
I downloaded a spreadsheet one time. I didn't create the spreadsheet.
I knew it. I figured he had done this.
Someone created a Google sheet ranking every single item on the Chick-fil-A menu, what the value is on the rewards, and then rank them based on which is the best value, for the reward. So they'd be like, hey, a salad is not worth what they're saying it is in the rewards. You want to go for the fries. That's going to be your best value. So I'm like nerdy enough to want to look at that. I'm not nerdy enough to create it.
Fair enough.
But the other thing you can do at Chick-fil-A, which a lot of people don't know about, is get a BLT. And it's like $2. Because all you get is you order a toasted bun with bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
A $2 BLT
It's off the menu hack here. I love it.
The grilled cheese, a toasted bun with cheese on it. And you're like, okay, that's not, not quite a full meal for a guy of this stature.
Sure, fair.
But
He's doing me because he saw this, the part that's hidden by the desk.
But there's a lot of things you can do like that, which are they're kind of fun. I mean, the other one is getting chicken strips on their own and then getting 2 buns. It's cheaper than 2 sandwiches. You'll save a few bucks.
Go outside of Chick-fil-A and other things. What are some other money? Because you give money hacks all the time on ways you can stretch your dollar. What's some of your favorites?
So I kind of bucket them into like travel, shopping, and food. Those are the main areas I think people can actually legitimately save money.
And that's where a lot of people spend a lot of money, right? So
Absolutely.
if you're going to save somewhere, those are 3 good areas.
Yeah, and there's some, there's gas apps and they do cash back. And if you go to this station, you'll get 19 cents back through Upside or one of these apps like that. So a lot of people know some of these apps, but for travel, for example, there's a Southwest hack that I was just doing, and I was like, oh, nobody knows about this.
Oh, what are you doing?
And so my friend Ken Coleman tried it. We were at dinner. He's like, dude, you just saved me $300. So here's what you do. You book your flight on Southwest, but then you check that same flight and rebook it. And if the flight is cheaper, they will give you the difference back.
Oh, so a lot of people just refund that to you.
They book their flight and they go, well, I booked my flight. No, I don't know if it was a good deal or not. So just check, once a week, check that same flight, go to your app, recheck the flight, you can rebook, and it'll give you that credit back. And when you do that, round trip with multiple people, that adds up real quick.
I'm curious because obviously you have a passion. Like this is fun for you, right? You talk about the city saver.
I get joy out of this.
Like you get a lot of joy.
People are like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, finding hacks,
finding ways to save money.
Yeah,
I'm curious because now you're in a different financial situation than you were 10 years ago, right? Like you are in the success level of life. Have you noticed some things have changed? Like, do you feel like, oh, okay, well, I used to be super, super tight, and now I've kind of eased off a little bit. Has it changed, or do you have the same exact consumption behavior and habits that you had a decade ago?
That's a great question. I think I truly have not changed. I think I've let go a little bit because I value time a little bit more.
Okay.
And so I'm willing to let go for convenience sake.
Okay.
So things that I could do myself, or, if it takes 4 hours to research the trip, I might just go I'm going to get the travel agent to do this for me because I just don't have the energy anymore. Yeah. I'm getting old like you guys.
Yeah, of course, right? We're well seasoned.
There's always been things I'm willing to pay for, like getting someone to mow my lawn or like handyman work. I'm not the guy who's going to be like, I'll find the YouTube video of Rick in his basement showing me how to fix the dishwasher. I'm like, I'm calling the professional to do this for $50. We literally had a handyman come by, put floating shelves up, and we just ate Jenny's ice cream while watching him do this.
Just sat there and watched.
For $50 an hour. I was like, this is the best entertainment money could buy.
I think that's amazing.
So things like that I think are still worth it, but I have let go in some ways. And my wife is bougier than me and has better taste. So I feel like I was a tightwad with her where we would talk about things. I'm like, I don't know. And now I'm like, go.
Like you don't fight her as much on those purchases. You're like,
exactly.
Hey, if you're going to go do the thing, that's okay to do the thing.
And there's less tension now. And we're just so driven that we still have big financial goals. So it's not like we've hit this pinnacle and we're like, all right, we're letting the foot off the gas. Whatever you want to, we're doing it. We still have more and more goals. And now that we have a baby on the way, we're like, we got to get the 529 going. The baby's going to add some line items to the budget. We want to get the high quality organic food. And so all of that plays into it. So it just allows us to make those choices with a little less brain calories.
Are y'all both savers? Because obviously you're a saver. Is your wife?
We had this argument last night because I told her, I was like, we're going on the show. They're going to ask who's the spender and saver, and I don't want to offend you because in my mind,
she's a huge fan of the show, right? She watches every episode.
She doesn't miss it.
She's a big.
I can't get her to watch my show, let alone yours. I'm going to be honest.
I share that.
You feel that? So what I will say is we're both very conscious. We're very similar. I'm kind of in the boat of like, if you eat your vegetables, then we can have some dessert. So I'm the saver spender nerd in a sense where if I can just get my savings goals done, I feel good about spending what's in the budget and doing it, with some diligence and some research. So it's a really healthy mix to me. I'm not perfect in any way. And I've done dumb. And, I told her, go look at the Amazon purchases. Who is the majority of the purchases by? And it was not me.
Well,
I felt good about it. But she's like, it's for the baby. It's for the baby.
I feel like because I don't know if you get this too. I get that all the time too. Hey, this is not for me. This is for the family. No, we're doing this for the family.
So easy to justify things.
We need this artwork on the wall, so we create a homey space because it's for the family. I hear that stuff all the time. So I'm right there with you. I feel your pain, and it only gets worse as the babies get older.
Yeah. I want to, as the older guy who's in this young man sandwich here right now, I want to kind of lean into, because I want to give the viewers something that they actually are like, man, I'm not getting that anywhere else. This guy right here, I almost said something else, but when he first, I was fortunate enough that I knew him before he was married, and then I got to see him get married. And
See him blossom.
That's right.
We did a whole show on, and it's a great one if you want to go check it out in the archives, where I asked him before he got married, what's the dollar amount that you and your spouse are going to have to talk before you can just spend without getting permission? And he came up with something like $15-20. Do you remember?
It was $50, I think.
Was
right?
it $50?
I think it was 50 or maybe $40. Or something.
I bet it was
ballpark.
lower. Somebody will fact check that, put it in the comments. But I want to know, did you guys have that conversation? What is the dollar amount? Because I imagine you are one that talks with your spouse about money so that y'all kind of are on the same page with things. Do y'all have a dollar amount? And if so, how much?
100%. I would say it's generally $100. $100 purchase is like, let's run this by each other. Like, hey, I'm about to spend this. Are you good with that? And of course, the budget reflects how much we have to spend on these things. But here's my wife's hack that I'm sure many spouses out there do. She'd be like, hey, I'm about to spend $500 at Target, but I needed different sizes and different options, and I'm gonna return pretty much all of it
every time.
And so that
I had
hurts
this conversation 2 nights ago.
But it's so confusing because you're like, well, is she gonna? I guess she's really spending like $40. I don't know. Like, you don't know.
And there's
until
no way to track it because when you're looking at the app, when you're tracking the budget, when you're seeing the spending, you have no clear reconciliation on that.
So that's a real tough one for me, and that's how she kind of gets around this whole thing.
That's
like,
her money hack. Her money hack is doing that.
Because I'm like, well, we're for sure not going to spend $500. Like by the end of the month, the budget will reflect that we did not, in fact, spend $500 at Target. But in the interim, you see that money leave your bank account, and you're like, oh God, we just spent $500 at Target. And then who's going to go do the returns? This guy.
You do the returns?
I'm the returns man.
Wow.
Okay, now, so here's...
We'll use a buddy system sometimes. I'm not going to act like, but I'm the guy, like if you're going to have a tough situation, you got no receipt return, and I got to, put
You're
up
the controversy
stink.
guy.
And here's what I did at Target. This was a brilliant hack. That is a bonus hack for you guys. I went to Target and I had the receipt. Weird loophole in Target system. If you buy something from Target and try to return it to a different Target in the same day, they will not let you do it.
You have to wait a day?
You have to wait 24 hours.
That's probably a crime.
It's some kind of system.
Yeah.
And so I was holding the receipt and I said, are you serious? Like we were just at the Franklin Target now. We're at Cool Spring. I can't return this. She said, no, you got to wait 24 hours. And I said, what if I didn't have a receipt? She said, well, you could do a no receipt return. And I just crunched up the receipt and I threw it away. I said, I'd like to make a no receipt return. And her face was just like,
What?
this man has just like
He's broken.
He just saw the Matrix.
I just glitched the Matrix. It was one of the most satisfying, joy-filled moments I've ever had when it comes to shopping and spending.
I love it. I have a question. So obviously, you've talked about things that you don't like to spend money on, right? You know, Ramit Sethi talks all the time about, hey, there are things, if you love something, lavishly spend on it. If it's a thing and it fits into your budget, are there things that you guys love to spend money on? I mean, Brian, you talk all the time about like travel is your big one. Yeah. Like you'll budget and save and whatever, but when it comes to travel, that's where it's like I want to create the memories and do the things. Do you guys have that? And has it changed from what you're willing to spend money on a decade ago to now in millionaire status? Okay, well now I'll spend money on that, or I want to spend more money on those things.
Yeah, that's good. I would say we're very aesthetically minded. So we want to walk into our house and have beautiful furniture.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the same IKEA futon I did in college.
Yeah.
Right? Or the Walmart area rug that I had when I was after I graduated college. And so my wife likes nicer things, and I appreciate that too. I think more people would spend time in their homes and less likely to leave and go spend money elsewhere if they enjoyed their domicile, right? So that's something we are willing to spend money on. And now that we are where we are financially, I'm less likely to hound Facebook Marketplace to try to find a deal for 6 months. I might just go, hey, I'm going to get online, find a promo code, and just buy, the West Elm.
That's great.
Do you do room by room, or did you do the whole house?
I am the type, again, I'm a little bit OCD. I didn't want to live in a house that was like half baked for a year.
Okay.
Some people do that, and it's fine. It's hard to build, to furnish an entire house day one is nearly impossible. So we try to reuse as much furniture as possible. We also try to just buy as much as we could with the deal on a budget, and you get real creative when that happens. So some stuff we got from Facebook, some stuff was promo codes, some stuff I'd get on the online chat and be like, hey, do you guys have any specials going on right now? And so I'd use apps like Honey online to find promo codes. or they'd let you buy gift cards at a discount when you're checking out. It'll be like, hey, you can actually buy a $250 gift card for this $300 purchase. Oh, yeah. And I was like, whoa, life hack. So things like that allowed us to stretch the budget even further. So those are things I'm willing to spend money on. And then those convenience things. We have a monthly house cleaner. That's so bougie to me. Like growing up, I'm like, my mom would just cry.
But it's money so well spent.
But it's money well spent because we're not sitting there, who's going to scrub the showers last time? You saw that mold on the grout. I'm not touching that stuff. So that stuff, lawn care, landscaping, handyman work, happy to spend money on. Food and travel, we're I would say, I guess, moderate foodies.
Okay.
And Nashville always has a new restaurant to try. And so spending money at a restaurant, I'm willing to do. But I will usually get water, and I don't get apps or desserts generally. So that's kind of a...
Not a dessert guy. See, I can get that.
I think
He didn't
desserts...
say that. He just might not be willing to pay $12.
Here's what I'll do.
He leaves.
Buy a pint of Jenny's ice cream on the way home for $7 that you split instead of the
I get that.
$13 dessert at the restaurant. So I'm not saying it's a never. Sometimes I enjoy a good cocktail with dinner.
Sure.
But the most profit margin these restaurants make is on beverages and desserts and apps.
That's true. It's 100% true.
Cover your ears, but then I want you to give a result. A tip after this is that what you said, I found when I was home shopping and stuff, like gadgets, like Crutchfield, all their stuff is somewhat expensive for electronics, but you can use, okay, this is the part you got to cover your credit card rewards to essentially, because I did the same thing. All my Sonos was bought through there because all that stuff's price controlled, so I was able to use credit card rewards to kind of, for like $200, get a $300 gift card. But I know, but I'm sure because that was you and I were vibing. No, we were vibing though because
we had a good thing
everything
going.
was like the straight. George isn't gonna get mad. This is the part that I love is that we have these differences, but there's so much in common that it all kind of still gels in a lot of good ways.
But here, you guys, you can afford it.
Yeah.
But again, we're all kind of in the same frugal train. So like, if I can save $1, I'm willing to do it.
Yep.
There's just things I'm not willing to do.
Fair enough.
I get it.
Fair enough.
And that's why I told you to cover your ears.
And
I was trying to protect your.
This is so funny. So the other day, we're in Franklin, it's a local spot, and my wife's grandma was with us. So she wanted to cover the bill. And so she pulls out the credit card, which is fine. I'm not, however I'm not like, you can't do that. So she goes to pay with the credit card. The machine doesn't work. So they say, hey, can you go bring this little reader to the guy, bring the card, just go pay. I went, no, I can't. I can't walk up with a credit card and be like, hey, we're trying to make this thing
They were
work.
setting you up is what that was.
And I was like, on the off chance someone recognizes me, I don't want to be caught dead holding a credit card.
Yeah,
and wouldn't you know, the guy was like, hey, are you George from the Ramsey? And I was like, yeah.
He was setting you up. I love it.
So I truthfully, like, people are like, no, but you have to tell people not to. I'm like, bro, this is my entire wallet. I have a Regions debit card and I have my license. That's the only thing I carry.
I love it.
When George and I ate at Ramsey Solutions one day, and I saw him paying. It was with a debit card though, because they allowed. And I asked him, and I said, do they allow credit cards at the food court?
It was a great question. I was like, I don't know that they have a way to stop someone from doing that.
I bet they, that was just interesting. But he really does practice what he preaches.
I hope like an alarm goes off. If someone
all of a
pulls
sudden
out
starts ringing.
the Capital One.
I want to lean in on something because I would like to say, I think Bo and I both were self-proclaimed tightwads. If you go talk to any of my high school friends, I had the George Costanza wallet before George Costanza because I was a coupon guy. Love coupons. When they used to fundraisers, when people used to come sell those books for $5 with all the coupons.
That every time.
I mean, I would, just like you talked about Sunday, I would tell my parents, buy this thing, and then I'd figure out all the fun activities we were going to do out of the coupon book.
Yeah.
So you and I are cut from the same cloth on that. But I will tell you, I don't know what has happened. And we even had this thing called Tightwad Nation, where we thought we were going to have this thing where people were going to take pictures, put them on the website of all their ways they've saved money with coupons and stuff. But then I realized there was a day that I woke up and I was like, I'm a hypocrite. Because like now when I travel, like this most recent trip, more than my entire first year salary out of college was. And I was like, you can't call yourself a tightwad if you're spending. So I've watched this progression from tightwad to now somebody who's good with money, but I'm spending lavishly on things that really give me purpose and I feel a lot of happiness from. Do you have any tinges? Do you feel yourself going through any metamorphosis, or do you think this will be George? Because there are exceptions. I will tell you, Clark Howard. one of my
yes.
heroes.
Yep.
Clark legitimately loaded, but still super cheap. Super
Yes.
tight. I don't think he is. I think his wife, it's kind of the same situation that you shared, but he is legitimately just as tight as he says. Do you think you'll stay in that train of thought or behavior, or do you think you will progress on like I have and then be not mad, but just know that you've changed?
Yeah, I think because I'm married to my wife, I can't give her this life of just like we're gonna live like we're broke forever.
Yeah.
And I want to spend money. Like I've actually struggled with this idea. You guys maybe have some good framework for this, but how much do you leave your kids? Like if you have a $5 million net worth, $4 million in retirement, $1 million house, I'm like, they're good just taking the house. Let's spend the $4 million in our lifetime and enjoy it versus like we have to spend only 2% of this money every year. So I want to actually enjoy it. And that might mean taking the entire family on vacation.
Yeah.
So what has changed for us is instead of focusing on more ways to cut expenses, it's been, hey, let's maximize now. Let's figure out what our investing goals are. Let's have some big giving goals because that's something I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
We haven't been in a place to do. So we are now going like more bucket list stuff of like, how cool would it be to just buy a single mom a car?
Yeah.
How cool would it be to just fund someone's adoption? And just write them a check.
That's amazing.
So that's the kind of stuff that gets me way more excited now than like trying to save $2 at a restaurant. And so that's the thing that has changed. Is I'm thinking more future focused versus living in the present going like, hey, the house is not on fire anymore.
Yep.
We're not broke anymore. What can we do? And so that's what I love about the Ramsey plan. And a lot of people, they'll call in and they go, Dave, we're at baby step 7. We haven't paid for a house, but we're still TightWads. And that is a hard thing to let go of, to go like, go on the vacation.
Yeah.
You haven't been on a vacation in a decade. Go on a $10,000 vacation. You guys have a net worth of $3 million and you refuse to go on this vacation. So that's a hard thing to shift. And I think we're kind of both in that phase now where I don't want to live like that. I want to enjoy my money in a smart way.
Yeah.
And as long as I do it on a budget with cash, it's not a huge portion of my net worth or my world. That's how you kind of know you're on the right track.
And I think a lot of people are probably hearing that and they hear the freedom that you just said, hey, we get to focus on using our money the way that we want to use it because of the steps we took to get there. That's a different conversation than a 22-year-old has or a 23-year-old has. In your journey, what's been the, because to be a millionaire is no small feat, right? That's a significant threshold to cross over. How'd you do it? Like, was it Bitcoin or are you some real estate maven?
What if that was my secret?
You're like, I
got Bitcoin 10 years ago.
I just think because like you didn't start a business, you didn't create some idea. And yet at this young age, you've been able to acquire a 7-figure net worth, which is just absolutely phenomenal. What's the secret? What's the trick? What are the people out there listening need to hear? How if I want to be able to think about money the same way that George and his wife think about money, what do I need to be doing now to be able to get to that position?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's a caveat here. I just uploaded a video on my YouTube channel that was why most people will never become millionaires. And I walk through 4 big investing mistakes that are holding people back. And I can't tell you how many people in the comment section were like, well, you're not a millionaire because you don't make $1 million and your house doesn't count as part of your net worth. So you're technically not a millionaire and you're married. So that doesn't count. You actually have $500,000 net worth. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if these people are they've been hurt and they just
hurt people.
Hurt people. Yeah. But I'm like, I'm not offended by it. I just want them to go like, this is not it's not your opinion. I'm not just going like, I think I'm a millionaire. It's just mathematically, financially, on an accounting level, a millionaire is someone with $1 million net worth.
Yeah.
Which is all of your assets. So yes, I can't live off my house, right? That's the big thing. It's like, well, it doesn't produce income. So, but I'm like, I can't touch my retirement until 59 and a half anyways.
And it's still valuable
in a lot of ways. So the way that's the caveat to tell you that my wife and I combined are net worth millionaires when you factor in our house and retirement accounts. So the way we did it was fairly simple. We became debt-free, which meant we had no liabilities. Your assets minus liabilities net worth. So that really just gave us the assets portion. And so when we started our marriage, we already had a positive net worth because I had paid off my $40,000 in debt. I had already owned a townhome that was real modest, and I had sold that. And so I had a little bit of appreciation there, probably, I don't know, maybe $40,000, $50,000 in appreciation. So that was kind of our starter down payment as we started off our marriage. We cash flowed the wedding. We actually won a free wedding that was worth $28,000.
Wow.
There's the real life hack. That was a local wedding contest at Ravenswood Mansion in Brentwood that they put on, and we won the contest.
Good
so you had a free wedding?
A completely free wedding. Actually just did a video on that, walking through the whole process, what it was like. We still ended up spending a good chunk of change.
They got their money's worth because now he just gave them a plug.
I'm about to say, yeah,
keep
seriously.
going, keep going.
There's the, yeah, I know people are like, that's not an applicable hack to me. I'm like, I never said this was a life hack. Everyone should just
tell
go
you my
get a free
story.
wedding. Yeah, I was just sharing the story. It's a funny story. We actually had a camel at the wedding. GeorgeKamel. We were like, let's hire a camel.
Could you not
free
have
wedding?
a-
We'll pay a guy $750 to come haul a camel down. He
There
did
are
it.
camels nearby for
There are
$750.
camel rentals in Tennessee.
I wanted to put you on the spot.
That's a weird caveat from the Millionaire Journey.
Well, but I want to
man.
bring, because I'm excited about the hacks, but I also want to make sure that our audience gets to hear, because this is something when I talk to other debt crusaders, people who pay off stuff earlier, like because I think about Andy Hill and others, I then ask them what their savings and investing percentage is.
Yeah.
And I bet you know your, can I put you on the spot? Is it greater
Sure.
than 20%?
No, I followed the Ramsey plan to a T. I was like the Ramsey test tube baby. So
it was 15%.
It was get out of debt, get the emergency fund, then start saving 15%. So I think by the end of 2014, I began investing in our company 401k,
Okay.
got the match, did the 15% on top of that. My wife, much smarter than me, when she started at Ramsey, I think in 2015, was investing in the 401k as soon as she could. And so when you take both of those accounts over, 7, 8, 9 years now, just investing in a Roth 401k, 15% over there. That's really all we've done. I had a little bit of an old Apple 401k that I rolled over. It's got a few $1,000 in there.
Sure.
It's really nothing. So all of that, getting out of debt, having a little bit of appreciation for my first home, beginning to invest in our Roth 401ks, 15%, then saving up even more. And I was doing side hustles the whole time. I mean, up until
Increasing the income, right? That's the thing.
increasing the income. So I was emceeing outside gigs. I did marketing consulting work. I think in 1 year, in 2016, I brought in like 25, 30 grand just in side work doing marketing.
Just hustling.
I was driving for Uber and Lyft when I was getting out of debt. And so it's both. To create that margin, it was spend less, make more. So we did both of those things. And we were very frugal, trying to save up for the down payment. So we ended up putting 45% down on our first home together.
Wow.
It was a townhome, and that townhome appreciated like crazy in the last few years,
Sure.
which is why people go, it's not fair, life hack. I'm like, it's not a life hack. Like real estate appreciation is one of the greatest
It's the
things of
truth
all
that
time.
happens, yeah.
Especially with, the $500,000 if you're joint, being completely tax-free in the growth. And so that really helped increase our net worth quickly. Is the home appreciation on that townhome, and on top of that, our cars, which aren't worth much, as you know, we're Tesla guys. I got a 10-year-old Tesla, so it's nothing. Nobody's like, whoa, like it looks nice. I still love
does
it.
look
It's
great.
still a
It looks
cool
great.
we
Tesla.
argued about if it's a luxury car or not, but it's so the cars, which not a huge part of our world, the retirement accounts, which probably add up to, I would say about a third, and then the home is a big part of it, which I know you guys don't like. It's out of balance. I know your feelings about paying off the home early, but I'll tell you, to be 32 and 33 with a paid-for house, it blew our mind because I didn't even know anybody that had done that. Like my family, it's just kind of like you get the 30-year and then you do the
Pay for it
HELOC and the
forever.
second mortgage
Yeah.
and you roll it into the other one. You just don't pay off mortgages in your lifetime. And it was such a wealth-building hack for us to be totally free and have our income at our disposal.
I'm not willing to give up on you yet on this because
you.
I think, here's the thing. I bet Ramsey Solutions has a match or some type of profit sharing of at least 5%. Am I wrong on this?
For the 401k?
Yeah.
I think we're at a 4% match.
Awesome.
Oh, just right under. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm doing some math here, turning into
They
a
do
financial
have-
mutant.
they do profit sharing though
Because
as well. So if-
19, because you said 15%.
Yeah.
That was your household. And then I know, remember, if your income is below 200,000 household, now I don't know, I'm not putting you on the spot on that. We're not going to talk incomes, but I know there was a portion of that was probably below that for some season, and you got that profit sharing, you got that match.
You're right at 20%.
Now we're back to, we're all copacetic and
You're
we're
right.
rocking and
Well,
rolling
we always
together.
joke, they're like, well, does the match count as part of my 15? We're like, no. And if you have too much money in retirement, you can write us hate mail. If you did 20%,
no one ever says that.
Yeah, if you
right?
got 15% plus the 4% match or 5% match, and you did 20%, that's a great problem to have. And I like the habit of doing that.
Was 15%, I'd probably take that hard line. But since we're pushing it up to 20, 25, and that's what I love having these conversations because it brings it back. What do people say? What's the grounding for the difference between baby steps, between financial order of operations? I think still a lot of them are on the same root of the same tree. It's
Absolutely.
just a little, some variations.
Well, and truthfully, we've talked about this. The audience that's watching your show is a very different audience from the general Ramsey show.
Sure.
So if we told everybody, hey, invest 20%, they would be like, I don't even know how to get there. Like, I don't know how to find that in my budget. Whereas your audience, they're making great money. They're looking to maximize their wealth. Our audience is coming to us and they're going, I have a bunch of this debt. I'm new to the money. I haven't learned about money. And so 15% even for some people feels like, how are we going to make that work with inflation and daycare? And so it's a great baseline. And remember, our plan is do 15% so that you can still save for some college, you can pay off the house early, then build wealth and give. And so we want to create a little bit of margin so that 20% isn't maxing you out completely, which for your audience will not. Yeah. For our audience, a lot of the times they go, that's all I can do in order to pay off the house and save for college.
One other thing I just want to bring up is that, and it's the craziest thing. I turn on my YouTube app on my TV, and then you start just showing up there. And I've sent you a few texts and be like, George, you're just taking over my TV every time I turn it on.
Is that an automated feature?
No,
you have to click on it, right?
The thing. No, if you watch one, it's going to show you 5. So it's good on you.
It's your fault.
But here's the thing I noticed. I noticed that I hear something, it makes my heart sing. You talk about index funds.
Oh, yeah.
You like index funds.
Yeah, I'm not mad at index funds. People think, they're like, well, because they like mutual funds, they poo-poo index funds. And I'm like, dude, if we're having an argument about mutual funds versus index funds, we're already going to be multi-millionaires. Yeah. And so I'm not mad at index funds. And even Dave, he'll invest in index funds. Yeah. When he's saving up for real estate and he just gets a big, royalty check from a book, he'll just go park that in index funds outside of retirement so that if he wants to buy a piece of real estate, he just goes, oh, cool, I've got that. So we're not mad at index funds at all. And that is a big misconception. I want to clear the air on that.
I love that we got. See, that's a headline right there. We just gave everybody.
Now it's the single stocks and the crypto bros. That's the stuff. And even then, people think like, well, they hate crypto. I'm like, I don't hate crypto. I personally don't invest in it, and I'm not going to go tell people to do it. Obviously, you want it to be a very small part of your world if you're doing it. I've just found that the crypto bros who are really into it, which is not everybody, that's a small subset of people, they are like, I'm going to cash out my retirement to put it in this coin.
The only thing I'm going to do.
I'm going to hedge my bets and go fully into crypto. And that's where I go, that gives me a little heartburn. And so when it comes to investing, I personally just invest in mutual funds in my 401k. That's it. But one day, if I'll have a taxable brokerage account, and I'll just throw that in an index fund and let it sit and grow, and maybe that'll become a bridge account one day to help me retire early. And so I'm not mad at that.
What I think is amazing is that your story is remarkable. I mean, where you are, where you're sitting right now is incredible. And yet, all the things that you did were incredibly unremarkable, right? Yes. Like it's hey, I understood how debt worked, and so I approached it in a responsible manner. Hey, I am going to save a little bit for the future, and it's amazing. These small, unremarkable decisions can have incredibly remarkable results. I think that's amazing. I think that's what society and TikTok and social media and Instagram, I don't think that they are reinforcing that with young folks. That, hey, if you just make small, sound financial decisions and they compound through time, it's amazing. It can be life-changing. And yet here you are living proof that that's exactly the way that it works. You're the test tube prodigy for someone who just follows, who has a plan in place, follows it, and the results are amazing.
I think you're remarkable, by the way, George.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
I know that. I just was like,
it hurt. It stung. No,
just call George unremarkable.
I said the decisions were unremarkable.
I hope that I'm an interesting person. My financial world is offensively boring. I mean, half the comments on my YouTube videos are like, this again with the baby steps and getting out of debt and getting on a budget and invest. Like, give me something new. I'm like, bro, there's no baby step 8. And I always tell people, if you follow the trends, you'll fall for the traps. And so the more fancy and flashy and new and exciting it is, the more I pause and go, I don't think that's for me. I'm going to stick to God's and Grandma's ways of handling money. I'm just going to save money in my rainy day fund, have an emergency fund. And it's so much more freeing mentally because I'm not sitting there waiting on the next thing that's going to make. I just go, no, I trust the S&P 500 to just choose the top companies to invest in, and I'm good with that.
I love it. I don't have to waste a calorie trying to figure out which company it's
Exactly.
Gonna
I can waste the calories on food hacks.
I know we're getting to the end of the interview, and because I feel like I have two big resources here. Because Bo has 3 children. One is freshly minted, freshly minted.
5-month-old.
I mean, it's in
Wow.
pristine condition right now. And then I know you and Whitney have one any day. Well, not any day, but
Yeah.
it's very
We're getting
soon.
there.
Very
It's
soon.
soon.
I figured I'd kind of sit back because I'm the older guy. That's I'm in this new phase with like college age kids, but. Talk to us about having your first child coming into the house soon.
and how that affects the financial stuff. Because
Yeah.
you already said,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
man, we're thinking about we're thinking about things we hadn't thought about before. The kind of food we buy, and this and that, and the type of furniture and all that stuff. Has it been a huge, difficult financial hurdle to overcome thinking about preparing for a baby?
We've always told people, they go, hey, where does a baby fall into the baby steps? And they go, like, when's the right time to have a baby? Once we're at, and we go, when you want to have a baby,
Yeah,
like
it's
when you
not
want
a
to start a
financial
family,
thing.
go for it, and just know that it's going to be a budget line item. Pause the steps, stack up cash so that you can cover any expenses that come up, medical bills, all of that stuff. But I'm not worried about the financial aspect because I just know it'll be like, all right, we got to add in diapers into the line item, formula, baby clothes. Goodness, so many baby clothes. I'm like, how long are they wearing this for?
You realize, not long. Let me just go
Yeah.
ahead and ruin this for you. You're gonna get all these like newborn clothes. And my kid was born gigantic, right? So he was born and not even in newborn clothes. So I have all these wasted clothes, and I need to bring you some clothes and diapers.
I would appreciate that.
I can do that. I
Maybe
can
some
bring
pink polos for my little
No,
girl.
that's perfect. That's
Appreciate that.
offensive and also at the same time.
But yeah, the financial part doesn't worry me as much. I mean, there's a piece of just bringing a child into the world in 2023 with all of the technological advancements and where society's at. And I don't watch the news much, so I'm less of the like, I feel good about being a good dad. It's more the lack of sleep, carrying the family. Like, we have 2 French bulldogs, which are nothing like children, but they are so needy.
It requires a lot of time and
Yes.
attention and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And I just know one bark from the dog means the baby's waking up, which means I'm now mad at the dog. And so there's the kind of logistics on that side. But financially, I'm excited to go like, let's start a 529 plan. Let's go.
love it.
Let's go.
I love
and so
it.
financially, I'm excited about it. But emotionally and just like physical energy level, we're bracing ourselves because we're already exhausted.
And it's like any other thing that you've done in life, right? You move into these unknowns. You have to have a plan in place. And even though you have a plan, it may not work the exact way that you think it will. You'll figure this out with eating and feeding and all that kind of stuff. But what's beautiful is if you have a plan, it makes it much easier to adjust the plan if you go into it with no plan at all. I say this
Yeah.
is true for babies just as much as it is for your financial situation. And if you recognize that you do the things like have a rainy day fund, recognize that things are going to change, recognize your plan's not going to go exactly according to plan, it's much more likely to set you up for success over the long term going into it understanding that.
That's some wisdom right there.
I'll tell you is that having a child now in college, but also I think you said something that was really powerful to me, George, is that if you want to have a child, have a child. I think some of us financial mutants and us financially minded people, we try to wait until everything is perfect. And we try to plan, and that's something you do need to be careful of enjoying each phase of life. Enjoying, because sometimes I think that's the part that us financially minded people, our analytical thinkers, everything feels like it needs to be perfect. And I'm going to tell you, nothing about bringing a child in the world is the most, it's going to humble you. It's both financially and both from a behavioral standpoint. You'll realize you're not in as much control as
That's a
you
great
think
point.
you are. But I would challenge everyone, if you have love in your house and you think you'd be a great parent and you want to have children, don't overplan it, because I think I'm guilty of that as a guy getting older and now reflecting. I think I overdid it. It's just like I am at the point, and I loved hearing you talk about generosity, because Bo, I've learned from Bo on generosity, and then I've watched how him and his wife they've had the children and they've had them close enough in age where they all play together and stuff. There's just so much to telling people to enjoy each phase of your life. Because I think as being tightwads, or there's nothing wrong with having great financial habits, but man, you only get one shot on this planet. So make sure you are maximizing it. I want to
so
give you a
good.
chance to, because we're closing it up. Anything you want to kind of share with our audience? What do you have coming up that you'd love to tell our people about?
Well, I'm working on a book right now. I'm in the editing phase. I turned it in. And let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. I know you guys...
Oh, boy.
We've talked about this off air, but man, it is so brutal, but it's a passion project I'm so excited about. The content, I think, is very different from what we've done in the past. It won't shock you. It's still the same stuff, but I'm really diving into a lot of the research, bringing a lot of humor, being very self-aware with the objections that I've seen over the last decade being at Ramsey of here's how people feel about the plan when we talk about credit cards and we talk about credit scores and student loans and auto loans and mortgage traps and investing traps. And so I really want to bring some new life to those concepts, and that book will be out in January. So that's something I'm working on.
That's incredible.
Of course, the YouTube channel, just feeding the beast, guys. You have no idea what these guys go through. And now that I'm doing it, it is so fun, but it is exhausting to go like, we got to pump out 3 episodes a week, and everyone's like, give us something new and exciting we've never seen before. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of pressure. So that's been a blast. Smart Money Happy Hour, of course, and we've got an amazing team at Ramsey. So we're always cooking up new stuff, new products to help people, updating the stuff we do have, Financial Peace University, Every Dollar, all those pieces. But the big thing for me is just going, how do we take this Ramsey message, which I'm so passionate about because I know it works, because it worked for an average guy like me who didn't come from money, who was middle class. How do we make it palatable and fun and exciting when it's offensively boring and offensively countercultural? When I'm like, hey, what if we didn't use credit cards? Kill him! And so it's fun to kind of go like, what are the angles that actually are working to get people to do it? So one thing I did was the 90-day credit card challenge. Instead of telling people, cut up the credit card, you're an idiot, I said, hey, for 90 days, put your credit cards in a block of ice. Put it in a safe. And for just 90 days, miss out on the rewards and just use a debit card and use cash and see what happens. And I was shocked at how many people went, yeah, I'm doing that. I would need to take the step in that direction. And so many people are now messaging me going, dude, I've saved so much money just by thinking differently about my money when it's my money. And so that's something I'm excited about, is going, how are the new ways we can take this concept? I encourage you guys to try this challenge. If we can get Brian and Bo to put their credit cards in an ice block, they're the least of our problems as a society. But I think it would be a fun exercise just to see what happens.
I do have a merch suggestion for you based upon this. Now, my merch suggestions are horrible, by the way. They
you have
shoot
great
them down
koozies
around here all the time. But I could totally see next time if we're coming to your house and I order an old-fashioned from you,
100%. I'll make
you guys at Ramsey Solutions could come up with an ice tray that people put their credit cards in. So then when we drink an old-fashioned, there's a credit card hanging out in there so you can be reminded that you're taking this 90-day.
That's
challenge.
incredible.
I want a royalty off this, George.
All right, the GeorgeKamel ice tray.
I expect this when we come over. We're going to be getting the credit card big rock.
Well, you're not going to find a credit card in our house, so you have to bring your own.
We'll bring our own credit card.
No, but I feel like you're kind of like going to the college town package store where they just put credit, put fake IDs all around, so that they deter. I figured you probably just have people mailing you credit cards once they
after they've cut it up.
It's been known to happen. I mean, that plus buy now, pay later. I see it like these are gateway drugs into other forms of debt, and if I can just stay away from that one, it'll keep me keep the other ones at bay.
I love it. So that's great. Guys, we have a blast, and I love that George came in studio today, and it really is. I think you can sense there is a better way to do money, and that's one of the things, whether you're on this get-out-of-debt path or if you're trying to maximize your wealth-building journey, there is some way to get plugged in and maximize those opportunities in this new modern world where we're ever expanding the opportunities. And so George, thank you for coming in, being so transparent, just sharing, the insights. I think Bo and you, there's a reason we all kind of mesh on this. And I just want to thank our audience for tuning in. Give us some comments. Tell us what you're thinking about things. Make sure you're subscribing. Go check out the stuff that George was talking about. Here's what I want people to know as I'm closing this out. If you want to know what abundance is really the intersection of wealth plus purpose. And you heard us talk about that today. Reflect on that for yourself. I'm your host, Brian Preston, Mr. Bo Hansen, GeorgeKamel, Money Guy Team.